So I've had my fair share of listening to some of the heaviest metal out there, and some of it is really for me, others not so much. One such band in the deathcore kind of genre is called Lorna Shore, and as an upfront disclaimer, this might be the most intense song that I ever review on this channel. So if you're not into pig squeals, goblin noises, and just sounds that a human being really shouldn't make, maybe this isn't the video for you. Today we're going to be reviewing Prison of Flesh. Even the name sounds like one of those cattle decapitator, infant annihilator, all of those kind of, just noise bands. So I'm excited to see what they bring out. One of my favorite tracks of last year, actually, that I found was To the Hellfire by them. I still listen to it monthly. That ending is absolutely chef's kiss. But let's find out if they've managed to surpass that with this new track that just came out 2 days ago. Okay, so this is quite a long one, about 7 minutes. So let's see how Lorna Shore go in on their cinematic music video vibes. I know that they've done some really beautiful music videos in the past, and I know that Will Ramos is insanely talented, unbelievably talented. I'm sure you've seen actually a bunch of clips of him with charismatic voice. I can't remember her name now, but they're both a duo that is absolutely adorable, and I would recommend you go and watch their videos on how they analyze his screams and so forth. So I'm hoping we get some really deep gutturals, some insane noises that, like I mentioned, the human voice really shouldn't be able to make. But without any further ado, let's jump in. Okay, we got some cinematic drums, creepy visuals already. Oh. We're gonna get smacked, I'm sure of it. Very cinematic. I like how they're introducing the drums. Here we go. Fake out. There's so much going on. Bit more of a vibe. Music videos. There's that chorus sound that they use. Very epic melody in the background. insane. Those blast beats are just a bit too much for me. Will is a monster. Chorus vibe again. Solo time, let's go. Okay. Drummer is ruining it, unfortunately. Not a huge fan of that. Just sweeping and just like yeah, not very melodic, just kind of like flashy, and the drums just overpowered it completely. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is the ending, I think. 1 minute left. Oh. And then we're done. Some credits rolling. Wow. So that was intense. Quite an intense, probably about 6 minutes. So yeah, in full transparency, I'm not a huge deathcore fan. Oftentimes, and funny enough, I was actually thinking about it today, and it's like, why is it that I'm not that much why I can't get behind it too much? Because it's not that the vocals put me off, and I came to the conclusion that I'm pretty sure it's the blast beat drumming. It feels just a bit too overwhelming to me, and unfortunately this kind of suffers from the same problem of just blast beats on that probably quad bass pedal, like a double bass pedal for the drummer, to be able to get that insanely just machine gun background almost background noise if you think about it. And I think that's why prog bands like Opeth, with the incredible gutturals, not really on par with Ramos. I mean, Mikhail from Opeth's vocals are intense, and I mean, he in his prime, he was the goat of low screaming and low growls. And I think Will is standing alongside kind of the goats at the moment, the modern era versions of Mikhail from 2000s, with like Slaughter to Prevail's Alex Terrible, and then Ramos, and probably a bunch of other underground or maybe not so in my alley vocalists that I don't really know. But one thing that I can say is that it's not really for me. I was not the biggest fan of the track. I went into it with expectations that, having seen a couple of reaction videos on my own feed, that it was like the breakdown of the year. But in my opinion, it is visceral and an insane gut punch. I mean, that drop kind of feels like a cement block just dropped into your ears. That wall, as we say, the wall of sound that just kind of like absolutely smacks you. Couple it with Will's unbelievable vocals, and it is most certainly a breakdown to end breakdowns, and it is impressive what they do. But like I said, even during the reaction, the solo, it doesn't do it for me. It's completely overshadowed by the drums. I don't know if it's a mix problem or if it's just deathcore in the genre that it is, that the drums have to be keeping that momentum going of just super fast, almost ADHD metal. And that's why I think bands like Opeth for me really stand out, because despite the deep gutturals from, Blackwater Park, Ghost Reveries, those sort of albums, the drums feel a lot more intentional. They're a lot more nuanced. There's not just this continual blast beat behind everything. There's room, there's space for the vocals to come through. There's back and forth. And I guess that's because it's a different genre. Prog metal, progressive metal, progresses through various genre styles. So even Ghost of Perdition, it starts very differently. It has a classical section with the acoustic. I think it's a 12-string, and Mikhail's incredible vocals, and it takes you on a journey. It's like a progression through the track, and often the tracks are a lot longer than traditional. Whereas with deathcore, I don't know, the drums I think are what really do it for me. They really kind of put me off, and unfortunately this track really, I feel the same. Like I shared at the beginning of the video as well, I referenced, this might be the most heavy track that I review, primarily because I'm not really into this overwhelming metal. I really value melody and intentionality, and it doesn't detract. That's one thing I really want to emphasize. It doesn't detract from the fact that these are incredibly talented musicians. However, you watch the music video, which, by the way, gruesome as like horror movie levels. Like, we just watched Spectre, which was eerie and like an ominous vibe. This is just full-on body horror. So props to them for the incredible work on the music video. But I was hopeful that this breakdown would be, brutal and intense, and I don't think I was disappointed. We were definitely not disappointed, to be honest. But when I think of the To the Hellfire breakdown, it just hits so much harder in a way that I can't describe. Maybe I'll need to listen to it again and put them side by side and try and figure out. But Will's vocals on this are stellar. He is top of his game. He is pushing the boundary of what the human vocal folds and vocal cords are capable of in every way. And I love that he did his little goblin scream. He didn't throw in any pig squeals and stuff like that from To the Hellfire. But their more recent stuff I haven't been keeping up with. I tried Sun Eater, but it also wasn't really for me. So I think that, in terms of the genres that I'm covering, if you're expecting more of this sort of really intense, I don't want to say over the top just to be mean, but this over the top metal where the drums drown out everything. Like I was saying, the drums completely destroy the guitar solo. And I don't want to detract from the musicians' capabilities. These guys are absolutely phenomenal musicians, but I don't know if it's a mixing problem or if it's just the genre in general. But for example, the solo, like I mentioned, it's drowned out by this blast beat in the background. There's no room for the solo to kind of come to the fore and breathe and give you its attention or pull your attention to it. And the solo itself kind of feels very rushed and feels very unnecessarily over the top. There's very little melody from my perspective, and I'm not trying to say, that I am a trained musician who is an expert in all of these things. Of course not. I'm just a dude who loves to jam some guitar. I'm a bedroom guitarist, and I'm now on my journey to learn how to produce my own tracks, produce music, and build my own brand and sound. And I think that deathcore has its place, definitely. Like I mentioned, To the Hellfire is a stellar 10 out of 10 track for me. I can re-listen to it over and over again, and you could show it to one of your closest friends and they would think that you're like a Satan worshiper or something because of how ungodly it sounds. But you can really appreciate the atmosphere that they create and the vibe that they bring. But for this, it just really didn't do it for me, unfortunately. I wasn't super intrigued by it. It was really heavy for a lot of it. There was very little space to take a moment to reflect on what you're listening to and move in. And I think that the only moment they gave you was just before that breakdown, which is very typical. That fake out at the beginning and then the breather into the absolute drop, like I said, cement brick of a breakdown. So yes, this breakdown absolutely crushes you. But in terms of the rest of the song, I'm not so sure that it is going to be something that I will come back to and enjoy too much. Maybe it'll grow on me, I can't be sure. But for now, that was my review and analysis, I guess you could say analysis. And first listen of Prison of Flesh. The name is just wild. By Lorna Shore. I am a fan of Will. I love Will. He's like a golden retriever, Labrador guy. Such a lovable and incredible dude. But in terms of the music that they're putting out, it's not for me. And so I think we'll stick to what we know. I've got more reviews and more shorts and everything lined up. So if you enjoyed this, please make sure to subscribe. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for sticking around if you're here. If you've made it this far in the video, drop a horns emoji with a purple heart to show that you are a Bryn Belmont true fan. I appreciate you guys so much, and much love. Be good people, be nice and kind. And although we listen to this music that is almost satanic in the sound, we're at heart really good people, and that's the kind of community that I want to build. So I appreciate your time so much, and I hope you have a fantastic, blessed day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.